Alright, today on Sci-Fi Fantasy Network I'm talking to Nicholas Briggs, famous for his Dalek voices and for running Big Finish, but of course your most famous role was as the voice of Judge Dredd in Dredd vs. Death in 2003.
I was Judge Death.
Judge Death, were you?
Was that a computer game?
It was a computer video game, I believe.
Yeah, I think I did Judge Death in that. Yeah, no, Judge Dredd was played by Toby Longwell. Fact fans.
You've not done a lot of video games since. Was it a bad experience?
No, it wasn't. I just no one's ever asked me to do them since.
Apart from the Dalek games that are now coming out, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. That's the Lego Dalek game.
Why won't you just try and spot each and every Doctor that appears and drop it in the
multi-universe thing with the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Doctor Who and all that.
So you've been in Doctor Who films and fan projects for a long time. You're in the Air Zone Solution thing with Colin Baker and Sylvester
I wrote
McCoy.
as well.
You wrote that, didn't you?
Yes, I wrote that, yeah.
I sort of knew that at the back of my head. Of course you've been... Can you talk about how Big Finish got started with the audio visuals in 1980?
Well, Audio Visuals was the name given to a sort of amateur group where we did Doctor Who audio plays in which I played the Doctor. Hey! Wrote a lot of the scripts and did a lot of the directing. And we always said we would like to do it as a proper job. And one day, Gary Russell, who ended up being the producer of Audio Visuals right at the end there, he spoke to his friend Jason Haig-Ellery, who they'd both known each other as children, and Jason was a successful businessman, and he said, how about your company, Big Finish, maybe getting a license to do Doctor Who audio plays? So they had meetings. It didn't work to start with because the Doctor Who TV movie had just been done, and the BBC thought Doctor Who was going to be big and relaunched again, but it didn't unfortunately happen, although I suppose fortunately for us it didn't. We went off and did The Adventures of Bernice Summerfield on audio, which sort of proved to the BBC we knew what we were doing, that A, we could do a license agreement, and B, we could actually make stuff that sounded great. So they went back a couple of years later and got the license, and then I was involved right from the word go, writing, directing, sound designing, doing the music for, and being in the first story, and then, you know, from then on, and then 7 years later I became executive producer and been doing it ever since.
As you say, you've been writing a lot of them. How have you found the writing process?
I can hardly stop doing it. I love it. It's my favourite thing. I was asked in an interview with a women's magazine, I was going to say a ladies' magazine, like I'm some sort of 19th century gentleman, a woman's magazine, what do I do to relax? And I just thought, well, the moment I relax, I start thinking of new stories, because as a kid it was always my favourite thing, just making up stories and writing them and doing terrible drawings. The writing process is, there are difficulties along the way sometimes with rewrites and stuff like that, but no, I love it.
You wrote, of course, the Doctor Who Unbound story, Exile, the first story of a female Doctor.
Yes.
The thing I liked about Exile was that it didn't seem to be really about the Doctor being a woman so much as it was more about her character and the time.
Yes, that's right. It was more about the terrible time I'd just gone through in a relationship where I'd had a relationship with a woman who all she wanted to do was get drunk all the time, and I'm sure she's over it now, whoever she was. And I just thought, if the Doctor came to Earth and the Time Lords were after her because she'd changed sex during her regeneration, it was a sort of alternative ending to the War Games. And I thought, well, what she'd do is not join a paramilitary organisation and fight alien invasions. She'd go and work at a supermarket instead. So she had to somehow submerge herself into that kind of culture. And so it was about that, really.
I thought Arabella Weir played it very well.
She was brilliant, actually, and we couldn't stop her, really. She would just talk all the time, and sometimes we'd just start a take, but she'd still be talking about something else, and then she'd finally get the idea we were doing a take because the other actors were talking.
No temptation to bring her back for more?
Well, I think that Exile is a very specific thing from a very specific point in time. I think a lot of people, quite understandably, misunderstood the Unbound series as being all about casting different actors as the Doctor. That's not what John Ainsworth and I, who were sort of running that series, thought. We thought that it was about asking huge questions about what if. What if the Doctor was a different sex? What if the Doctor changed sex when he regenerated? What if the Doctor were violent and had no conscience? We were asking big questions like that, and to us it was almost a secondary issue that other people were playing the Doctor. That's why we did more with David Warner, because we were thinking, oh, David Warner as the Doctor, So I do envisage us doing that again. I think let's leave it to the TV series to cast the first female Doctor in a proper Doctor, not an unbound Doctor Who that doesn't abide by any of the proper branding and narrative laws of Doctor Who, but canon and on the telly.
Canonical, as Mark Gatiss would insist on pointing out. So what's the next big thing for Big Finish then that you'd like to promote? I
would like to promote The Prisoner, which I've written and directed, based on the 1967 ITV series starring Patrick McGowan. We've had a fantastic time recording it. That's coming out in January, but a trailer will be coming out at the end of this month, September. There's an awful lot of great stuff coming up from Big Finish that's really top secret that I can't tell you about.
Well,
thanks. Very exciting.
Thanks very much for talking to us, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure.